Hi, my name is Colette Piceau, and I'm a freelance show writer. And right now I'm going to share my screen with you so I can tell you a little bit about myself and my work. I am also the president of It Ain't Shakespeare, providing creative solutions for live shows and attractions. And I have been doing this since 1996. Some of my clients include Walt Disney Imagineering, Disney Entertainment, Universal Creative, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Herschend Family Entertainment, Paramount Parks, and through WowWorks, I also did a lot of development for the Carnival Corporation. A few years back, I was a senior show writer for Universal Creative, but I ultimately decided that I really prefer the freedom of freelance work. Over the years, I've worked on a ton of award-winning projects, and I'd like to share a few of them with you right now. This is Kind Heaven, which was going to be a fully immersive entertainment experience, sort of in the tradition of Sleep No More. That was scheduled to open in the spring of 2020 in Las Vegas, but for a variety of different reasons, the project has been canceled. But the basic concept was to transport guests into an alternate reality version of Southeast Asia with its own history and culture. Sort of like a living video game, complete with live music, dining, and retail, and guests could choose their own journey and experience danger, mystery, intrigue, and even spiritual enlightenment. As a contractor for Hotop Associates, I developed an incredibly detailed backstory and a cultural history of Kind Heaven, which went from the dawn of time to the present day, and was all original storytelling, along with scripting for 40 different characters. I have worked on a lot of Herschend Family Entertainment projects through the years, but I have to say my all-time favorite so far is Time Traveler, a spinning coaster that has almost a cult-like following at Silver Dollar City. I was asked to develop a story with sort of a steampunk flair. So I came up with the character of Charles Henry, a clockmaker who dreams of creating fantastical machines like the ones he's read about in the visionary novels of Jules Verne. In the story of the attraction, he recently inherited a clock factory, but instead of carrying on the family tradition, he decides to build a time machine with the help of his brilliant daughter, Emmeline. And guests are invited to try out their latest prototype, which sends them whirling a couple of seconds into the future. Anyway, in addition to the concept, I wrote the character backstories, the design narrative, and also the voiceover scripts for this attraction. Through WowWorks, I developed a whole slew of guest experiences for the Carnival Corporation. Unfortunately, most of them were shelved, and I can't share them with you anyway because of non-disclosure agreements, but I was the creative director and writer for an interactive experience center, and I also wrote the Carnival's keynote speech for the 2017 Consumer Electronics Show. Also working as part of the WowWorks team, I was the show writer for Antarctica, Empire of the Penguin, writing design narratives, attraction scripting, and even lyrics for the theme song. I also directed voiceovers and part of the opening event. While we're on the subject of SeaWorld, in collaboration with InMotion Entertainment, I developed the concept and wrote the script for Blue Horizon, which was one of their most popular dolphin shows. I was also the show writer for Katanga at Busch Gardens, and this was an original musical that was about 4 African storytellers, or griots, who travel from the 4 corners of Africa to compete in a storytelling festival with the compelling theme of animal myths and legends. And as you can see, it was a really colorful show with puppetry, and it was like a mini Broadway musical. And speaking of musicals, I wrote the original concept and scripting for the Spirit of Aloha show at Disney's Polynesian Resort. I also worked on Volcano Bay for Universal Creative. Now, the idea for Volcano Bay was to create an original island culture with its own history and traditions. So we came up with an original story, And it was about the Waturi Islanders who live on an island with a magnificent towering fire and water volcano, which the Waturi people discovered as they journeyed across the sea. And we even gave them their own creation myth, which I am going to share with you now. It all began with the fiery god, Krakatau. Now, he could control the land through his fury and fire, but he could not contain the adventurous spirit of his daughter, Tainui, which means ocean wave. And as so often happens in stories like this, she fell in love with a Waturi youth named Kala. Well, when Krakatau learned of their forbidden romance, he flew into a rage. He banished Kala to the sky to shine through the curtain of night forever as the moon. Well, when Tainui learned about this, she was completely heartbroken. She cried and cried and cried. She cried so many tears that they filled the land, and she sank into them and became the sea. One day, a warm, gentle wave of her tears washed over Krakatau, and at that moment, his heart began to change. Desperate to mend his mistake, he reached deep into the ground, pulling it up into the sky. And when he did, he reconnected the two lovers. And he also connected the sea and sky forevermore. Not to mention creating the fire and water volcano that now towers over Volcano Bay. Now, each night, Tainui joins Kala in the night sky to dance among the stars. And in the morning, when the moon fades from the sky, the lovers fall into the sea where they play the day away with the rest of the guests. And that story was the inspiration for a lot of the design of Volcano Bay. If you look carefully, you'll find hints of it throughout the park. In addition to writing for the theme park industry, I have worked for museums, zoos, corporate clients, and even television, including dozens of episodes of Shamu TV and Jack Hanna's Animal Adventures. And 2 of the episodes that I wrote won regional Emmy Awards. Now, prior to being a writer, I was a professional actress, and I traveled around the country working in regional theater. Eventually, I ended up at Walt Disney World, and I played Claire and Flora in the Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue. I also was in the original cast as Marion in the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. And I worked at the Adventurers Club, and I was in the original cast of the Terminator 2 3D stunt show. You know, and as much fun as all of that was, I really do love my work as a writer. And I firmly believe that if you want to create a truly compelling experience, you've got to start with a strong, simple, and richly textured story. A story that transports guests to an aspirational place where extraordinary people live, work, and play. And it should be a story that encourages guests to dream, explore, and discover. I want to thank you for watching my portfolio presentation all the way to the end. And I want to let you know that I do have a lot of writing samples that I can share with you. So if you're interested, please contact Slice to get in touch with me. Thank you very much, and it was nice to meet you.